it's not even fair how good Sarah Paulson is. She's perfect in this show. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks to an early screener, I was able to watch Ratched the entire season. This is a non-spoiler review. The show drops Friday. I need you down below. Are you looking forward to it? If you've seen it at this point, did it deliver? Okay, let's do it. So Ratched is a suspenseful drama series that tells the origin story of asylum nurse Mildred Ratched. She arrives in North Carolina to seek employment at a leading psychiatric hospital where new and unsettling experiments have begun on the human mind. So Ryan Murphy brings us a prequel of sorts to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It does say in the summary, inspired by the iconic take in that film. So even though we can essentially say this is a prequel, I guess it's not technically a prequel regardless. I was really excited for this show. I like the trailer, I love Sarah Paulson, and let's start there because she does in fact execute. She's awesome. I mean, one of the best performances I've seen all year. She is sinister in the way that you hope and expect from this character, but it doesn't all start immediately. There's character progression all throughout, and as she grows and kind of tests the water with new things, and it says this again in the description, true monsters are not born. They're made. And that's what we're witnessing here, kind of the combination of so many elements coming together and creating one of the best villainous characters we could possibly witness that goes on to do what she does in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And that film, if you haven't been able to check it out, if you're watching Ratched, kind of separating from that, I will say, it is a very different show in comparison to that film. I don't want to compare too much because, again, Ryan Murphy, a very different type of creator. The style is going to be so much different from that film, but it did feel even more so separated from what I expected. I expected this to take itself just a tad bit more serious. It does every now and then get a bit too quirky, a bit too silly. Even the style of the show at points, the way that he edits certain clips together. There are moments when we're putting a frame into another frame. They're side by side. And with the way the show is going and the brutal elements that we get, I don't want to say what or when, but she's a nurse, so we're going to see some surgeries here and how graphic and intense that is. See, I'm not like a medical guy, right? I see that kind of stuff. I wince, I squirm a little bit, and I was wincing, but then later on, we just kind of get a different type of show. Then like 5 minutes later, a bit further on in the same episode, you're going to get a completely different tone. So there was a bit of an imbalance of tone all throughout Ratched, which was unfortunate. Again, it does not overshadow the incredible performances, not just Sarah Paulson. You have Finn Wittrock, who plays a character by the name of Edmund. He starts this show out with a bang. Such an intense, horrific sequence. Corey Stoll plays an integral role here. He's really good. Vincent D'Onofrio popped up. Had no clue he was coming. Excellent in his small role. Sharon Stone also. Now, I will admit, maybe I needed even more from her than I got. Also, Judy Davis's character, Nurse Betsy Bucket, is good, but I felt her development wasn't quite there. And that's kind of how I'm feeling as I'm watching Ratched. And a lot of people are going to ask the question, Austin, is it scary? Does it give us those vibes that we're hoping, those really intense thriller-esque, throw in some horror vibes that we were hoping to get? Not necessarily. It's more campy than anything. I feel as if some will watch it and say, there's a bit more absurdity than expected. Again, Ryan Murphy, he has a style. And even though I love a show like American Horror Story, he's done it before. This actually does kind of feel more like American Horror Story than I expected Ratched would feel. And some are going to love that. And I really loved the moments that brought us that gripping intensity. It was necessary for this kind of show. But it didn't quite have a hold on Nurse Ratched as a character. It portrays her as one thing here, and then a couple of scenes later, we get a line or two that maybe feels out of place, and then we cut back to another storyline that we don't care as much about. It almost felt muddled. Now, again, it sounds like I'm talking down, and the show is actually getting some pretty negative reviews as a whole. I haven't really been able to dive deep into what their issues are. I still had kind of a fun time with it. It's entertaining for sure, just because it does get so over the top at times. And you look at the set design, the production design, the colors, the way that this is shot, the lighting, which is something I never talk about, hardly ever hit on unless it stands out. It stands out here. It's fantastic. But you expect that with Ryan Murphy. He has a grip, he has a hold on his shows, how they look, the aesthetics. It's a great looking show for sure. And the lead performance from Sarah Paulson is enough to do it for you. It's enough to keep you entertained. It's enough to carry it. Where she goes, her relationships, when she gets fed up with someone, and you can see that in her face, when she feels extremely uncomfortable, maybe someone's bringing up something that's important close to her, that's kind of digging away at her brain. There's one scene in particular where she's, I'll just say the oyster scene, when she's trying oysters for the first time. That scene had a lot of character development and depth in there. I needed more like that throughout the show because we finally get to kind of peel her brain back and see what makes her tick and see what turns her into the character that we know. Nurse Ratched, one of the greatest antagonists in her own interesting way of all time, what she turns into, essentially a monster. But this is the beginning stages, even though again, you can't really compare the two because they're so different. If you're going into this looking for a prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, this is a very different type of show. You will be disappointed, no doubt. But if you're just looking for a bit of entertainment, some interesting storylines, some really intense medical scenes, interesting characters, and the constant secrets happening within this psychiatric hospital, getting a peek into all of our patients, that was at least interesting. By the way, you remember Jeffrey, the butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? He's one of the patients. I thought that was pretty cool. So at the end of the day, if you're a hardcore fan of Ryan Murphy's style, I feel like you'll get something. I found it entertaining enough, but there were so many missed opportunities. For me, this show could have been much, much better. It's interesting enough, and Paulson's portrayal is excellent, but it's consistently missing opportunities to be great. As for my score, 6 out of 10, 60% for Ratched. I did expect it to be a bit higher, but I feel like a lot of people, there will be a group that will love this show. So let me know, where do you fall down below if you haven't been able to see it? Are you excited for Ratched? Would you like me to talk more about this show? And of course, Netflix reviews like crazy. I'm watching Enola Holmes. I'm watching the Jurassic Park show. Also, if you are a subscriber, come back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. We are doing our weekly live stream a bit early, mostly because we are going to celebrate passing 70,000 subscribers on this channel. I want to thank you guys so very much for everything that you do for me, all of your love on the videos, helping this movement, Flick Fan Nation. We're continuing to grow and get bigger. We're going to celebrate tomorrow. Not a massive celebration, but just something that I'm excited to share with you all. Appreciate you again for watching. Stay tuned. I'll see you later on today for a review of Dragon's Dogma.